go. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the North Clackamas Parks and Recreation District Board of Directors meeting on July 30th, 2025. District Administrator Gary Schmidt, will you please call the roll for us?
Thank you, Chair. First, our staff support today. District Council, Jeff Munns. District Director, Piacelli. Clerk to the Board, Andrew Jiraki. Roll call, Director Schrader.
Here.
Director Helm.
Here.
Director Savas.
Present.
Director West.
Here.
Chair Roberts.
Here. All right, thank you, Gary. Thank you. We now lead us in the pledge of allegiance and.
There's no flag, but we're gonna do it anyway.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Oh, we have one on the name tag.
Let's do it again.
Okay. All right, well, now I will open the meeting for public comments. Testimony is limited to 3 minutes per person. And I would ask that your comments be respectful and courteous. As a reminder, you can also email comments to bcc@clackamas.us, and these will be accepted as part of our public record. If you wish to make a comment on the naming of the community center and park located on Concord Road, I would ask that you please hold your comment until after we have concluded the general public comment section. We have a discussion specifically on that item, and your comment will be welcome then. So I will take in-person testimony first, and I will ask our clerk, if he would please moderate the in-person and virtual testimony for us. Andrew?
Thank you, Chair. This is a reminder, if you're attending this meeting in person, would like to comment during either the general public comment or the specific public discussion item, to please fill out a blue card that can be found here at my desk and deposit it in this basket. Thank you. Chair, I received 1 card so far for general public comments in person. Mr. Grover Bornfeld, please come forward and introduce yourself. You'll have 3 minutes.
Great.
Thank you. So, I'm Grover Bornefeld, and I am a 34-year active Clackamas unincorporated resident participating on local boards, committees, task force, and community projects. So, thanks for hearing me. Get it in time, I'm going to read it. We all have accomplished a lot. And we have a lot more opportunity when we focus together on how to best use all of our available resources. The NCPRD staff have been doing a phenomenal job with their limited lean budget. Given income inequality, tax fatigue, and the burden on taxpayers and fee payers, as well as the federal and state uncertainties, our next chapters require a significant shift to generate additional and strategic uses of our financial as well as public resources. To fulfill our 20-year parks system plan, and we have a similar issue going with the library district currently, other than the NCPRD staff continued stellar efforts to secure available grant dollars, our primary source for additional desired and needed resources is our residents. Thankfully, this board of directors in 2018 and 2020 approved changes to equitably regenerate the sub-area representative structure, reinstating the ballot measure 3-1's promise of residents' local control with NCPRD. This was to nurture the much needed broadening of NCPRD's 80% unincorporated residents' activity inclusion in shaping the future of our district. This expansion process to engage more stakeholders will significantly generate active voter support to sustain a viable district-wide parks and rec for all. Inspiring more residents to see and believe that a positive future for themselves and their families could result from a further investment in our future. The first goal of the DAC is to effectively involve and hear the challenges, desires, and needs of our residents of the sub areas. number one item is, in some sub areas, we have produced successes with community-led gatherings or town halls a few times a year, which could be expanded now that we have 2 available community centers to host more community-led NCPRD resident gatherings. Number 2, we need a Concord Advisory Board to jointly collaborate with Milwaukee Community Center Advisory Board together to best collaboratively serve all of our district residents. To earn our residents' hope, trust, and vote, to fund the NCPRD's future, we need to work directly with residents to create the informed inspiration to generate the funding, that's either bond or operating level or district tax, to invest in their identified, 10 seconds, their identified needs, current and for future generations. It only gets more expensive over time. People are willing to support those things they helped identify and see the value for themselves and their families. Our community members working together is a seriously underused community resource. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is a final call. If you're attending this meeting in person, would like to comment on any matter besides the specific public discussion item on naming of the community center and park, would you please turn in a blue card at this time. Next, I have Jan Carruthers. Please come forward, introduce yourself. You'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you very much. Jan Carruthers, 4308 Southeast Boardman in Jennings Lodge. And I'm just here as a citizen to talk about public involvement. And I don't have a list, but I have to imagine there's a great number of advisory boards in addition to the Parks Advisory Board, the Library Advisory Board, and on and on and on, and all the CPOs. I've noticed that there are a lot of CPOs that are going out of business for one or multiple reasons. But one of the things that I have also thought is it seems to me that, at least right now, we're looking at the Parks Advisory Board, and I have a close relationship to the Park District Advisory Board. For those of you who don't know, I'm married to him and he's on that board. I don't want those boards and advisory committees to be seen as a burden to the staff. And in some cases, if there's not this kind of person there in the room or that kind of technical support, or the whole idea of community-led meetings is very important. I understand public meeting laws and I understand that it's often helpful to have a staff member at those meetings. But if they come back to us like, well, you should meet every other month because you're quite a burden to the staff. At least that's how the message gets translated. That does not feel great and it does not enhance the desire to participate. If over years a CPO sends in their top 20 things that they want for the next year, and none of them ever show up in the board's priority list, it does not communicate that the stated desire is actually real. So I'm not saying individually anybody is responsible. I am saying everybody keep an eye out. If you want all those board community participation, it needs to feel more respectful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Carruthers. Mr. Chair, seeing no other members of the public who wish to speak during this general public comment, with your assent, I'll move to those who are attending virtually. If you are attending this meeting virtually and like to comment on any matter besides the naming of the Concord Community Center and Park located at 3811 Concord Road, please raise your hand and I will call on you in the order that I see. This is a final call. If you're attending this meeting virtually and wish to comment on any other matter, please raise your hand. Mr. Chair, I see no other members of the public remaining today who wish to comment either in person or virtually.
I will now close the public comment and we will move on and we'll before I do so, just want to make sure I turn my colleagues if any other comments before we move on. What's after all the comments? I don't have one, so. Yes.
Just kind of speaking to what Jan just said, and because I'm new and I know I have a little more energy than I may have a year from now. I am trying to attend as many CPO and Hamlet meetings. I'm not sure, and Gary, correct me, if staff is supposed to attend or if you're looking for a liaison to take back information to our colleagues from your meetings. If you could clarify that, that'd be great.
Sometimes it's nice to have a liaison, it's absolutely helpful. As long as it's something that makes a difference when it gets the communication. It's that, gee, another one of those community meetings, I wish they weren't happening, they're just a pain, and that's the feeling.
That's the interpretation.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Gary, maybe what we could do is if you could contact get your number after the meeting and we could follow up. I'd like to find out more details about that, see what we can do. So thank you for bringing that forward. So not seeing any other comment. Gary, what's next on the agenda?
Thank you, Chair. Next is a public discussion item section, and the topic is naming of community center and park located at 3811 Southeast Concord Road. Director Kia Selly will give a quick update and then there'll be public discussion. Go ahead, please, Kia.
Right. Thank you, Gary. Good evening, Chair Roberts and directors. My name is Kia Selly. I'm the NCPRD District Director. In March, the board approved NCPRD's park and naming policy. The policy includes guidelines for the naming process, starting with a public call for submissions, a committee with community members to review and recommend a name, and review of that recommended name by the NCPRD District Advisory Committee. Shortly after policy approval, NCPRD launched a campaign to name NCPRD assets of park and building at the Concord property located at 3811 Southeast Concord Road. The community was provided 45 days to submit names for the assets, and NCPRD received 102 submissions. The naming committee met in June and voted to recommend the name Concord Park and Community Center. In July, the District Advisory Committee approved a motion in support of that recommendation. Last Tuesday at Issues, the board directed staff to prepare an online survey to gather additional community feedback on potential names. NCPRD and the county promoted the survey through a media release, several county email subscription lists, several media channels, county and NCPRD websites, and a project list that was sent out to interested parties through an e-blast. The survey was posted last Wednesday and it closed on Monday with a total of 1,876 responses. The name Concord Park and Community Center received the most votes, 1,221 votes, or 65.1% of the votes. I want to thank the community members that participated on the naming committee and the community members that participated in that online survey. This concludes my report. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thanks. Right. So, we're now, open up for, comments, commissioners, thoughts? Yes.
I just, Kia, thank you for your presentation. I just wanna make sure my memory serves me correctly, that the names submitted by the 105 or 6 or 8 submissions, that the Concord Park and Community Center was not one of them, but the Concord Community Center and Park was, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so I just want to just put that nuance out there that I think the committee made a good recommendation, in my opinion, and I'm prepared to support that here today. But I just wanted to say that I appreciate actually the validation of the good work of the committee by this poll. And I think that having the poll afterwards to make sure that every member of the community got to hear names and so forth, it kind of validates the good work. So I kind of see the upside of that, and knowing, especially in this case, that the name the committee came up was not one submitted by the 108 people. So thank you.
Yeah, Commissioner Webb.
No problem. I was just impressed by the sample size of the actual survey. So we've done a lot of surveys. When I was in the city of Wilsonville, we do surveys all the time, counties all the time, and you're like, oh, we got 100 people, yay. You don't always get that kind of turnout, but like 1,800 is a phenomenal survey size. Well, it says two things. A lot of people in the district really care about this, and they want their stamp on it, and they care about personalizing it the way that they want to have that done in their community. So that's amazing. And it makes our job really easy today. You know, we're taking our marching orders as the elected representatives to move that forward. I'm also gonna support this moving forward, the name that the community has chosen and put their stamp on and approval. So I'm just impressed by the community engagement, so.
Well,
Public comment.
Oh, sorry. So at this time, then, like,
Page 3,
Or no. Yeah, page 4.
page 3.
all right,
Oh, yeah. Wilson.
all right. Stand corrected here. Thank you, Gary. So now I'll open the meeting for public comments, specifically on the naming of the community center and park. Testimony again is limited to 3 minutes. And once again, I'll ask your comments to be respectful and courteous. So we turn to my favorite clerk again and ask him to moderate the in-person virtual testimony.
Thank you, Chair. I've received 2 blue cards so far to comment on this matter specifically. This is a reminder that if you'd like to comment on this specific matter, you are attending this meeting in person, to please either deposit in the box a blue card or let staff know. We'd be happy to help you. First, I've received Chair Valerie Chapman. Valerie Chapman, can you please come forward and introduce yourself? You have 3 minutes.
Good evening, Chair Roberts, directors. Thank you for letting me be here to speak tonight. My name is Valerie Chapman, and I am the chair of the Oak Grove Community Council. And I am here tonight to advocate for transparency and process so that the voices and concerns of people in our community are heard and validated. When the process for the naming of the new park at Concord was set forth by the board and the district advisory committee, there was no mention of a survey to gain further support. The community was given ample time, 45 days, to submit names, and as we heard, there was over 100 names that were submitted. I know that the CPOs were asked to provide a representative to be part of the naming committee, and that what members of staff and the DAC were also part. So we all knew that process, and we were very careful at our Oak Grove Community Council meeting to get someone who wanted to be part of that, and we did have a volunteer and a backup that wanted to be part of it. We know that that naming committee was provided with consultants and facilitators. They were given advice on how to determine whether a name could be misleading, inappropriate in some way, confusing to the community. And that the members of the community worked together, going through those 100 names and thinking about all of that, and then they settled on a name. But apparently, a few people didn't like the name. It doesn't matter to me and to many people in my community which name was chosen, as much as it matters that the predetermined process was not upended. Too many times in the past in this community members who are volunteers have put time and energy into a process that has been set out. Whether it's a large project or a small project. They go through the whole thing and then they discover that people who do not like the results or who may not even have been participants in the process, they chose not to, they're able to find out the results before the public does. And they can pressure leadership to sidestep the work of the community. And that's what this process felt like. It's very frustrating. It discourages people from wanting to participate. And it's anti-democratic. I'm pleased that 1,200 people said, go with the name that the naming committee chose. What if it hadn't been that way? Do we take a small survey that's open for less than a week? And certain people know that it's open and other people don't after we've had a process and we do it? I believe we need to regain integrity in our public processes, elections, volunteer committees, appointed advisory groups, and it really starts at the local level. So this might seem like a really little thing. People were furious that suddenly it looked like there was gonna be a vote. So thank you for keeping the name that the naming committee chose. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Joyce Johnson. Joyce Johnson, come forward, please introduce yourself. You'll have 3 minutes.
I'm Joyce Johnson, and I live by Putnam High School on Gordon Street. And I've been involved in, well, I've been living in Clackamas County for almost 35 years next month. Raised kids here on Gordon Street, and first got involved in county and local governance in 2019 as a retired person. And it's very disheartening. I just want to reiterate what Valerie just said about process and respecting a process that has already been decided. It's just shocking. And, you know, I've gotten involved in Clackamas County governance and finding out about the development on my road and all sorts of things, and attended Oak Grove Community Council meetings since then, off and on, and secretary, and want to be involved as a skeptical person. And then when this kind of thing happens, I'm like, this is not right. And it's very discouraging for participation for the public. I think it's great that more help attending meetings of this sort by the community is being asked for. And it's the only thing that's gonna get people involved is more acceptance, more sticking to processes, respecting the work that's been done already, that people are willing to step forward and do, and then to have it change. It's suspicious, it's not right. So I just came here to express my opinion about that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Thelma Hagenmiller. Thelma Hagenmiller, please come forward and introduce yourself. You'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you, guys.
Good evening, Commissioners, Chair Roberts. My name is Thelma Hagenmiller. I'm a resident of the unincorporated area of Oak Grove, and probably the center of a lot of the folderol that's going on right now. You've heard me many times because I know how to reach you by email. And when the naming process for Concord first came up, let me tell you my background with this whole thing. I was one of the people that lobbied the school district to keep Concord property in public hands. I did not want them to sell to a developer such as McMenamins that was going on. I wanted it kept in public hands, and when you guys made the swap with the school district and the parks district, I was really pleased. When it came to the naming of the whole property, I submitted to you and to everybody else, I submitted one of the names in that 100-some names, the word cultural, because to me, what you're putting together is a cultural center. You've got the school, you've got the library, you've got the park. Those to me are all cultural things. They fit the description of the word cultural. And all I've asked in my emails to you is that the word cultural be included, culture or cultural, whatever, be included in the name. I was not happy with just the name that they came up with from the committee. And so I again got on my email and sent you an email telling you I was not happy. And I sent out others, and then I found out that my name was on the list. You've heard me. I don't want that complex to be named after me, but I want a meeting room in the school, the meeting room that you guys and I have all sat there and talked about the Parks District at. I want that to be named the Thelma Hagen Miller Meeting Room. And that opens up to you, the naming of the other school rooms, classrooms in the school. So a lot of people, I never do anything alone. I've got lots and lots of people behind me in the community that would love to have their names above the school, above a room in the school. I talked to Brad Olson the other day. I talked to Punky Scott the other day. Those are prominent citizens that have been behind me in the community in all of the efforts that I put forth. And I just leave it in your hands because you're the decision makers. So that's my input. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is a final call. If you're attending this meeting in person and wish to speak on this matter, to please fill out a blue card and deposit it in the basket by me here at the front. Mr. Chair, seeing no other members of the public today who wish to comment in person on this matter, with your assent, I'll now move to those attending virtually. If you're attending this meeting virtually and would like to comment on this specific matter, please raise your hand and I will call on you in the order that I see. This is a final call. If you are attending this meeting virtually and would like to comment on this specific matter, to please raise your hand. Mr. Chair, I see no other members of the public today, either virtual or in person, who wish to comment on this matter.
Thank you. I will now close the public comment section and I'll turn to the directors. Do you have any remaining questions or comments? I jumped ahead of you. Seeing none? Yes.
I'll just say, if there's other comments, I'll also follow the motion, but I do want to say that, the process that, occurred here, as I stated earlier in the meeting, I'm sorry, I just wanted to state that the process that occurred, followed the policy, with the addition of, right, a poll. And I think really, maybe in the future, I'm very impressed with the poll. And I think we had some ideas that came from the community earlier this evening, before the meeting started, about how we could do that. But I really am excited, number one, by the participation, going from 108 recommendations to 1,800 validations or input that led to 1,200 validations of the name. So I'm hoping maybe perhaps that we alter the process in the future, not here tonight, but in the future, to have a validation process to the naming, so that community knows everything that was on the table in a transparent way, and then perhaps, again, do that same kind of survey in for a future process addition. But those are my thoughts, what we learned from this, what I have learned over the 28 years of public service. I've watched naming processes happen. I've been part of some of the naming processes. It's always difficult. There's always different opinions, and the processes are not all the same. And I've seen some fights, not here in Clackamas County government or NCPRD, but in other parts of the county, a particular city in particular that was naming a school. It got pretty nasty, and it went on for years. So we don't want to see that happen. So I just want to close with, Chair, if there's no other comments, I'm happy to make the motion. I move we name the community center and park located at 3811 Southeast Concord Road as Concord Park and Community Center.
Second.
Right. Director Savas has moved to name the Southeast Community Center and Park located at 3811 Southeast Concord Road as Concord Park and Community Center. It's been seconded by Director Hamel. Is there any further discussion? I would just like to make a comment and thank everybody for coming today to let us know your thoughts, opinions, concerns. I want to validate that we hear you loud and clear. And I want to say that we so much appreciate the work that everybody did to, in the naming process. So I want to say thank you for doing that. We rely on people who volunteer. I will say the process is not perfect. We've talked to people, we heard that loud and clear. We're taking a look at that. And, most importantly is, that you recognize we do appreciate your work and we need it and we so much appreciate it. So, I just want to say thank you and thank you for, being direct. We love it when you're, tell us your thoughts and your opinions and, it's so much valued. So, with that, I will now turn. Mr. Naylor. Oh,
No, I'm just.
okay, I thought you were right, yeah. So I'll turn to the clerk and, would you please call the roll?
Director West,
Aye.
Director Schrader,
Aye.
Director Helm,
I,
Director Savis,
Aye.
Mr. Chair.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0, Mr. Chair.
Thanks, Gary.
Thank you. Next is a presentation report of the Chair of the District Advisory Committee. This is the committee that advises you, Board of Directors. The chair is Sheila Shaw. Welcome, Chair Shaw. You give around 5 to 6 minute max update.
I can handle that. First of all, I'd like to thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak to you today. I am a longtime resident of Clackamas County. I actually moved here from Southeast Portland when I was 10. I've spent a few years traveling in and out of the county, but other than that, I've been here. For the last 16 years, I've lived in unincorporated Clackamas County near Mount Talbot, sub-area 3. And I've been on the DAC for just over a year and was elected chair in our July meeting. Over the last year, leadership at NCPRD has kept us updated on the system plan and current projects, particularly the Concord property. I'd like to acknowledge the support that goes into giving us tours of those and of the parks. That's greatly appreciated. Notable also are the multiple grants and alternative funding NCPRD has successfully acquired. Kudos to Director Selly and her team for those big wins. Earlier this month, we had a short retreat experience as a DAC. This was facilitated by Camille Tremor of Interplay Collective. Conversations were about how we can best function as a DAC to support communities and the Park and Recreation District of North Clackamas. There's a lot of excitement about the system plan and what this could mean to the areas in the district that don't have the same level of parks and recreation access that others do. The DAC members talked about the importance of planning for the future, maintaining the parks that we have, expanding into underserved areas, and acquiring additional properties. While the members of the DAC represent different sub-areas, people spoke to the health of the district as a whole. And I think that's very important that we think that way. This summer, I attended 2 tabling events with NCPRD. And what was most striking to me about those events were the appreciation the community has for the services NCPRD supplies and the employees. Oftentimes people would come up and say, is so-and-so here today? Naming the person by name, I think it speaks highly to the quality of people that we're hiring when that happens. Also the gratefulness that they showed and the appreciation was joined with some regret about the events and services that had to be eliminated and reduced this summer. A grandmother who lives in the far eastern part of North Clackamas Parks District recently told me how sad she and her grandchildren were that the park in their neighborhood, Trillium Creek Park, would have no recmobile this summer. But she too went on to say and rave about those that had offered the programs in the past. In fact, she pantomimed one of the games that her grandchildren had been able to play. We now have a system plan that begins to support equity throughout the district, as well as enhancement to current properties. This can be a way to inspire our communities if the recommendations mirror their hopes and wishes. But with services being cut, people know that the funding is not there to support this vision of our future. So I'd like to leave you with 2 thoughts. First of all, I want you to know that we're excited about supporting the community and NCPRD, and we welcome any questions that you have for us to consider. As advisors, we understand the importance of the role we have as communicators linking residents and the board. Because of this, we appreciate being able to stay well informed about the board's decision-making and perspectives. And I find that just being here tonight with you is giving me some insight into each of you and what you care about. Secondly, DAC consensus is that NCPRD needs more funding. While we're not sure of what option to use for this, we look forward to partnering with you to determine the most effective avenue to successfully secure funding for projects that our community will support. Thank you very much for the time this evening.
Thank you. Great.
Thank you, Sharon. Next are board discussion items. This is an opportunity for the board to hear an update from staff and then have a discussion about the topic. There's no decisions asked from you for these topics, rather just a discussion to help guide staff's next steps. So there are 3 updates. The first board discussion item update is a planning update on the system plan project. Kia, the district director, will present on all 3. Go ahead, please, Kia, on this topic.
Great, thank you, Gary. Chair Roberts and directors, a district-wide plan for investments at NCPRD is long overdue. The last plan was approved in 2004. In December of 2023, the board approved phases 1 and 2 of a consultant contract for developing such a plan called the System Plan, and work began in January 2024. Phase 1 included inventory and analysis of existing conditions, revealing some key findings. Most notably, over 50% of district residents do not have a park within walking distance of their home. And secondarily, NCPRD has 1.9 acres per 1,000 residents. The national average is 10.2 acres. So we're really learning a lot about where we need to do our work. And I want to just emphasize that we have a whole lot more data, which we'll share with you later in the full briefing. But those are very notable statistics. Phase 2, community outreach engaged over 3,000 people to understand community wants and needs. And in September of 2024, the board approved phases 3 and 4 of the project, resulting in a draft plan with a vision, goals, and a prioritized list of capital improvement projects, again, that are data-driven and responsive to the needs and wants of the community. The draft plan was actually posted online earlier this summer for community review, and over 200 people responded. Not the 1,200 people that responded to the survey for Concord, but similarly notable. Staff are now analyzing that input and will present findings and plan updates in September to the District Advisory Committee. So board consideration of NCPRD's 20-year system plan is expected later this fall. So that concludes my staff update. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Seeing none, I'll just continue.
Okay. The next board discussion item is a development update on, and of course, we listed this on the agenda without knowing the name yet, but Concord Park and Community Center and the park at Jennings Lodge campus. Go ahead, please, Kim.
All right, thank you, Gary. Chair Roberts and directors. The Concord Park and Community Center will reopen to the community with a grand opening celebration on October 18th. The new community park will feature a turf field, a picnic shelter, NCPRD's first fully accessible playground, as well as our first splash pad. The historic Concord Elementary School has been partially renovated and will serve as the Concord Community Center. Renovations are modest, and they focus on safety, accessibility, and functionality, such as a new HVAC system, a new ground floor entry, ADA compliant restrooms, and a new roof. Staff are working closely with the State Historic Preservation Office and the Oak Grove History Detectives to tell the story of this special building, and efforts have been made to retain its unique character. And we have some fun stories to share at the opening about that. Improvement of the remaining areas of the building will require additional resources, but this first phase is a strong start. That concludes my update for now. I'm happy to take any questions. questions.
Questions, thoughts, comments? Right, just continue.
You're into Jenny's Lodge too?
Yes,
Did you already do that?
no,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
but I'll move right
Go ahead,
into it. Thank you, Gary. The new 1.9 acre neighborhood park in the Jenny's Lodge neighborhood located at 18521 Southeast River Road is a partnership with the Oregon City School District. Partnership will provide park access to a park deficient neighborhood and requires NCPRD funds only for design and construction, not for property acquisition. NCPRD staff are pursuing grants that could fund up to 96% of the cost of construction, which totals $2.5 million. NCPRD has already received a $1 million Metro Nature and Neighborhoods grant. And we just received word that Metro is also going to, has also approved a $808,000 of Metro local share dollars for the project. And Oregon State Parks local government grant will be pursued next spring. Remaining construction funds will be provided through Zone 2 SDCs. No NCPRD general fund will be used for construction. We do expect to begin construction in spring of 2026. But later this fall, NCPRD staff will request board approval of the updated Metro local share agreement, as well as an updated agreement with the Oregon City School District so that it better aligns with the requirements of our grantors. This concludes that report. I'm happy to take any questions.
Seeing none, you wanna move back?
I'm sorry, so Kia, for the benefit of people in the room and our newest commissioner, or director in this case, Helen. Could you just talk about what we try to do with justice property and what we're doing with the Monroe property on Monroe? So there, there's other projects, but there has been, and this is plan bears this out, there has been a substantial disparity of parks and lack of parks in parts of this district, the unincorporated area especially. And we have done our earnest and, you've done a lot of work to try to get the justice property. We weren't successful in bidding to acquire that property, but could you just speak to that just to bring everyone up to date on our efforts and the win, I guess, for the partnership with DTE and the development agency?
So correct, the system plan actually provides the best data that shows the walk sheds around the current park properties and really illustrates the park deficient neighborhoods, mostly within the unincorporated areas of the district. As Director Savas was saying, we actually have given that park deficiency, we then looked to this opportunity that was created when the Wichita Center property and the former Clackamas Elementary School properties were actually sold. That created a fund. The promise made to the community by the board at that time was that those funds would be sequestered for property acquisition. And with the recent purchase of the property at 70th and Monroe, that promise has really been realized. And so not only were we able to utilize these property acquisition funds as they were originally intended, but we were also able to invest in a park deficient neighborhood. So that park actually is almost, or property, it's not a park yet, excuse me, it's almost 10 acres. And actually at that scale, it will serve as a community park. And it's really exciting because that particular deal is also a partnership with the development agency. The development agency actually brought that opportunity to NCPRD. The developer reached out to NCPRD. We weren't at that time looking to purchase a property, but they actually had secured an option on the land that we ended up purchasing. And they are developing units across the street. So it really is a win-win. And then on top of that, the development agency is improving Monroe. So we are going to have a pedestrian and bicycle friendly street, which is adjacent to a future park, which is across the street from a high density multifamily development in an area where we also have a Title I school, which is just within this sort of visual distance of the park. So we're really creating a complete neighborhood with one deal. And so that it is a very exciting opportunity. Thank you for letting me talk about that.
Thanks for your great work.
I just wanna clarify, you said a lot there, Barry, thank you for doing this, Sully. When the board was able to creatively come to a amicable agreement with the North Clackamas School District and to allow that to hold services for those populations that need them and find a win-win for the Parks District and for the children served there in the school district and probably realign assets appropriately. You're telling me that allowed us to do that twofold, or maybe the size of the park more than twofold by improving a road, developing 10 acres to help with new development of housing and a housing crisis and to help kids in a Title I school district. So by all this starting with the board working with North Clackamas School District creatively in Wichita and that tired asset, we were able to multiply our efforts that much more. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Yes, and what I didn't share before, but thank you for reminding me, is that the development agency is also going to contribute financially to the future park. So we even have a future commitment, financial commitment from the development agency because development of this park meets their goals. And the new housing across the street will generate new tax increment as well as new park SDCs. So even more to that story, but yes, it really has been multiplicative in benefit.
Gary, when we were in the room negotiating Commissioner's office, myself and you with the North Clackamas School District to figure out how to make that a win-win on Wichita. One of the concerns was that Wichita had needed a new roof. It had some very tired things going on with it. And we had talked about creatively helping them use the community block grants. So even after the fact we sold the property, we want to make sure we left it to them and give them access to making sure it was in good quality moving forward. When we owned it, it was hurting a little bit, but we didn't want to necessarily give them an asset that wasn't, up to par for kids that are in it. So do you know what happened with that process?
Why, yes, they applied for those funds and the board of directors, the Buck County Commissioners gave them some funds from that funding, and you gave them American Rescue Plan Act dollars from the county, ARPA, and that was enough to cover the replacement of the roof.
Super feel good story. Thank you.
Great. Ready to move on to the financial update?
Yes, the final board discussion item is financial update. How's the district doing, Kia?
Well, thank you, Gary.
Never leaves the hot seat.
So I'm going to tell you some of what you've already heard, but I'm going to say it because I think it's worth repeating. NCPRD's largest source of general fund revenues from a fixed permanent tax rate of 54 cents per thousand of assessed value. The district does not receive any county general funds. This rate has not increased since the district was formed in 1990, and of the 5 park and recreation districts in Oregon, NCPRD has the lowest rate. In comparison, Bend Parks and Recreation District has a similar sized population to NCPRD, and its tax rate is $1.46 per 1,000 with a bond rate of 16 cents, per 1,000 of assessed value. So with inflation, operational expenses are simply outpacing generation of general fund revenues. The current fiscal year adopted budget reflects this reality with budget reductions that have resulted in fewer staff and service reductions to the community. 7 filled staff positions were eliminated earlier this month, as well as 2 vacant positions across maintenance, social services, transportation, planning, and administration. The budget also includes service impacts to the community. We've seen reduced maintenance at parks, irrigation, and turf care. We are going to reduce the Milwaukee Community Center days of service by 1 to 4 days a week. As of January 2026, we are eliminating the older adult transportation program as of January 2026, and we have canceled the Rackmobile outreach program for the current fiscal year. Also, a few programs just have one-time funding, requiring new funding strategies for maintaining those service levels beyond June 30th of 2026, including drop-in access and additional recreation programming at the Concord Community Center, and also the nutrition services program funding You'll recall the Milwaukee Community Center Foundation generously provided a one-time donation of $180,000. So staff are actively working with community partners to identify funding for maintaining services beyond June 30th of 2026, but without additional general fund revenue, budget reductions are likely next fiscal year and each fiscal year beyond that. In year 6, our forecast shows somewhat of a fiscal cliff that will require significant budget reductions for a balanced budget. These current financial challenges, coupled with rising demand documented through the system plan process, really underscore the urgency of exploring options for additional general fund revenue. The hope is that in 5 years, when NCPRD is celebrating its 40th anniversary, it's a financially sustainable organization that's able to meet the growing needs and wants of the district residents. So that's the vision out there. This concludes my staff report. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Director Simmons.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I know that we have talked, and my former policy advisor, Everett Wild, who some of you in the room know, have talked, and we've talked strategy for years about how we help support, financially the district, and the 54 cents is not a secret. The DAC and formerly the DAB have wrestled with this for years, and in 2014, we made an effort to do, I think, too many things in one ballot measure that I think complicated and other things. And for those reasons, it failed. It's clear, especially on May 27th of earlier this year, May 27th, when we had our budget meeting, how passionate the community is about things, and we've heard since then, from the community. Because we also heard from Mr. Bornefeld in his comments this morning or this afternoon about really the operation based aspects of that. That seems to be at the forefront. We have some money sequestered, as you said, for capital, but we really need funds that we can use for operation and maintenance. So I'm hoping that as a result of the systems plan that we can bring on, talk to my colleagues here, bring on a consultant to, number one, calculate out what it would take to make the district whole from an operations and maintenance standpoint. I don't think that community would necessarily support operations and maintenance and also additionally capital projects. I'm not sure. I think that's too big of a lift under the economic times, but I do have confidence in the community that should we come together, that they would perhaps go out there and be ambassadors, and somebody in the room as well, to try to help a campaign forward. But I don't know what the number is, right? And I think that we need to have the math to make sure that whatever we put before the voters, to let the voters decide that we do not overpromise and underfund, that we can actually fund what we promise. And I think we need to figure out what that is. So I'm hoping between all that data, we can come up with something, and then we can talk about at what point or what date. There are several dates in the year, usually 4, where something can go on the ballot. But Kia, what do you need to gather that information from us?
What do I need from you this evening?
No, not from this evening per se, not necessarily this evening, but what would you need to get that polling information, to get that financial information? Maybe you have the assets, our staff to do the financial, but I want to make sure that we get it right on the ask. I don't know what that number is.
Well, thank you for that question, Director Savas. What, to calculate the right number, to make sure that we are really threading the needle between providing the general fund revenue that we need, but also making sure that we are as fiscally as conservative as possible. We're not asking for district residents to pay more than what's necessary. It would be helpful to NCPRD staff to have a consultant to help with those calculations. I would also say that we need some community engagement support to make sure that we are having a two-way conversation with the community beyond the system plan about not just what their wants and needs are, but what they want to pay for to satisfy those wants and needs. And then the third leg of the stool would be polling to really get some statistically significant feedback about some scenarios, again, developed by a consultant. But maybe lay out a couple of different numbers. This is what we can deliver with X, this is what we can deliver with Y. So those are the three areas of expertise that would be really useful to move this conversation forward.
I haven't talked to my colleagues about this. I'm not asking my colleagues. I don't want to put anyone on the spot to make any decision tonight or anything, but I just hoping maybe that at least support to have you look into what that would cost.
Okay.
At the very minimum, and bring it back to us at a future meeting.
Director list.
I think that that's a very prudent, step to take. It's hard to make a decision unless we know the dollar figure, what that budget's gonna be. And, you know, I think we've all talked about at different times, the need to update that millage rate and to make sure that we're managing and have the resources necessary to be good stewards of the things that we've built over a long period of time. And so sometimes it's just about stewardship and updating that in the budget and making sure the house is in order. And we want to make sure that our parks district is in very stable footing financially. And so I would absolutely support investigating what those numbers would look like. I don't know what that looks like in this meeting, Director Savas or Chair Roberts. But I think it would be prudent and smart for us to do that and to look at those numbers. And I don't know if anybody else has those same thoughts, but I would support that, Director Savas.
Just a comment, I think, Kia, you did a great job of articulating kind of the three-legged stool component. And I think you are right, it's communication, it's polling, conversations I've had with other city leaders. I know Happy Valley's going out. They've identified certain dollar figures that they can increase it, that is acceptable. It's economically tough out there. Yeah, it's really listening to where people are at, and I think it varies on where you live. So I think it's really taking a hard look at, you know, what will it cost, and to get us so we can maintain these wonderful services. So I see a lot of faces cringe when you're talking about certain things that, you know, we'll have to cut. And so I think it's important that we act this emergency and begin that work. So I concur with my colleagues on this as well, so.
If I could just add something, and that is that, I think we need to be open to every opportunity. Just want to make sure that, you know, whether that is a change of the millage rate, which is more complicated, or it's an option levy, operating levy, or something like that, that we look at everything. I mean, not everything, but within reason. And so that would be, and you mentioned Happy Valley going out for their renewal, and also the city of Portland, I believe, is going out for a parks renewal. I don't know the timing, but if there happens to be, it all lands on a particular date, just think about the marketing opportunity, because people sometimes don't know where boundaries are, right? We could capitalize on someone else's marketing, whether it's Happy Valley or it's Portland, but the ask is similar, right? Dollar amount's different, but the ask is gonna be similar. You know, like the parks and recreation, I think it might be something that may be beneficial to all of us, so.
Our parks are really important. Sorry, I had to say that. All right, any other comments? All right, Gary?
So we will come back to you, board members, on a potential scope of work of what a consultant can do and the cost for that consultant for your review and decision later. We'll bring that back.
Perfect, okay.
Thank you, Kia. Thank you, board members. The next item is the consent agenda. Andrew, would you please read the consent agenda?
Consent agenda for the North Clackamas Parks and Recreation District Board of Directors. Item A, approval of meeting minutes from June 26th, 2024 and September 18th, 2024, North Clackamas Parks and Recreation District Board meetings. Mr. Chair, that concludes the North Clackamas Parks and Recreation District Board of Directors consent agenda.
Thank you, Andrew. Colleagues, questions, comments? Seeing none, we have a motion.
Chair, I move that we approve the consent agenda as read.
Second.
Director West has moved to approve the consent agenda. Director Schrader has seconded that. Any further discussion? And seeing none, clerk, would you please call the poll for us?
Director Helm.
Aye.
Director Savas.
Aye.
Director Schrader.
Aye.
Director West.
Aye.
Mr. Chair.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0, Mr. Chair.
And next one is.
Next is District Administrator and District Director update. That's me and Kia. I would just want to say, as I say at every meeting, thank you to our incredible staff, the North Clackamas Parks and Recreation District. They do a lot with very little, and they make it look easy, and they are deeply committed to serving the public. And several are in the room. Thank you. All of those who are not here, thank you. And thank you, Kia, for your leadership. Over to you for your report.
Thank you, Gary. I'd like to tonight say thank you to 3 of our employees that have recently retired. I'm deeply grateful for their service, and they will be missed. They have a lot of knowledge of NCPRD that they're taking with them. Joe Loomis, sports manager, he retired earlier this spring after 19 years. Jason Kemerick, the manager here at the aquatic park, has been with the district for 31 years. And he is leaving this month. We're a little nervous. And Kevin Kaysen, Parks and Facilities Division Director, he retired last fall. He actually will officially leave NCPRD in September. He has been filling in the same capacity while we look for replacement. So I just want to say thank you to those employees. I appreciate the kudos, Gary, for NCPRD staff. They do a lot with very little. And I also want to highlight the kind words that Chair Shaw shared about staff, because it is true that community members come to the front desk looking for individuals because they do such a great job. The community remembers them. So thank you to all NCPRD staff, but really thank you to those employees that are retiring.
Thank you, Chair.
All right, well, it's now Commissioner Communication, and I will start, Martha, you're on deck.
I'm on deck. Well, it's great to see all of you here tonight. It's a pleasure to, actually be here in person for a change. I think we need to do it more often, actually. But thank you for everything. It's been a busy day for me. I've traveled all over today. I went to NREC, which is our agricultural experiment station today. And took a look at all the research that they've been doing in crop management, water management, and Gary, my specialty pollination hedges, where we looked at all the different creatures and bees that were pollinating. So it's been a busy day traveling there. I had an opportunity to visit, which was really fun, the other Westland side of the river with former Governor Tate Brown, who's working with the trust to actually redevelop that area. We have the Confederated Tribe of Grand Ronde on one side, and we have the Willamette Falls Trust, which is a coalition of tribal nations on the Westland side. So we're hoping good things happen with that. And as you know, now I've ended my evening with you, so I've been the traveling. And so go home and be safe.
Thank you, Commissioner Savas, Director Savas, I'm sorry.
I just want, again, I know we all said thank you, but from the bottom of my heart, I just wanted to say, I think some of you know me well enough that, to know that we have all, as a community, we have done a lot to advocate for a number of things, and to see some of these things come together is, special time. So, again, thanks and kudos. Today I drove by the, park, grass is coming in. So I saw that. It's not coming in a lot, but it's coming in. So it was neat to see some of that. It's really exciting. I would tell you that a lot of committee members that are nearby they're all planning, when is it open? So, it's October 18th. October 18th, and we'll be cutting the ribbon on the library and the park and facilities, and staff's doing a fantastic job. But again, big shout out, whether it's the library folks or the NCPRD supporters, or some of them are one and the same. Great job, the task force, Mark, Grover, I'm looking at you, and others that were part of that task force. Years of those meetings, trying to get that. I never thought it would come together. I really thought that we would find ourselves in some kind of a pickle And that the community would come together on the consensus for the future of that property, and we have, so. Without having, without you guys, so, thank you.
Commissioner West, Director.
At least something I took away from tonight is how, for one, proud I am of Clackamas County. We do a lot here, and sometimes we do a lot with a little, and we all do it together, and that's kind of who we are. But just like reflecting, it's really great to see how interconnected the entire county is as a community, and all those links come together, and you pull on one string over here and then something happens over here. And we talked a little bit about Wichita, but then I continue to think, another big endeavor that we're doing is we're building a multi-acreage recovery campus like nothing's seen in the region ever. And it's exciting, right? And how do we get there? Well, the parks were part of that. The Parks District was part of that, and we don't talk about that, but along with the Wichita School, we moved the asset of the Clackamas Elementary School. And so they're like, why are we doing that? What's going on? And there's a little bit of, you know, a lot of feelings in the news over this kind of thing and what's happening. But when we moved that property and we bought it from the Parks District, it gave assets that were critically necessary to the Parks District to do, like the Monroe Park project that we just talked about. But thousands of people are gonna get recovery and out of homelessness and reach their full potential because Clackamas County did good local policy and was super creative with the assets that we had. And it wasn't Clackamas alone or the sheriff's office or the fire or the, it wasn't roads, it wasn't parks alone. But we were able to look as a system as a whole and holistically figure out how to be super creative with the resources we did have. And now out of it, more kids are gonna be served more than ever at the Wichita School. More and more kids are gonna have a better park that are disadvantaged, potentially have less opportunities because of those assets. And thousands of people are gonna be able to get the care and that they deserve in Clackamas County. In a region that has persistently struggled with getting them the care that they need and the treatment to become whole again in our community. We just spread the wealth in such a creative way and we're super effective. We can look back in 2 years and be like, we all just did that. And so if you like listen closely to today's meeting, we have a lot to be proud of. And I think we're gonna overcome our budget issues, our financial, we're not gonna reach a cliff. We're gonna get there, Director Sully, we're not gonna let it happen. But what we've done is we've just been super responsible, judicious, and taking care of one another. And then if you get anything from the meeting, at least what I got from this meeting, is that we all did this together, and there's a lot to be proud of, and it's gonna impact many people far after we're gone. And so kudos to everybody in the room, everybody in the Parks District. I'm super proud of it. It's kind of cool to see it all kind of develop and work.
Thank you, Director. Director Hill, give the.
First of all, thank you all for being here. Your public engagement is so impressive. That's how I started out and ended up here. As a newbie in the room, I think I have a lot more questions and answers tonight. I've taken a lot of notes. I need to sit down. I sat down with many briefings my first couple of weeks and my head was swimming, and I need to sit down with Kia again and go over some of these things that I have questions about. I'm also proud to be representing Clackamas County and you, our citizens, and our cities. And we've got work to do. I started budget week. Oh my gosh, that was probably, we had the room full of people. It was so sad. I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Why am I here? But I learned a lot that very first week. And maybe that was the best time to come in. It gave me a very full view of what we're facing as a county. And you did incredible work, Kia, and I know it was hard decisions, what you're doing, and I have so much respect for what you've done and to right that ship. It's been tough, but I'm very, very proud of the work we do collectively. And I think that we work well together and we have a lot of good things going, and I ditto everything Director West just said. I don't think we toot our own horn enough, but, and there's a lot that's in the works that people haven't seen yet, but, there's just, I have so many questions, a page full of questions here, so I will yield to you, Chair Roberts. Director Roberts.
Yeah, just a couple comments. One, it's incredibly important to thank the frontline staff that provide the service every day. I mean, we look so much to the folks that deliver the service and also the leadership that helps get all the things so that we can do that. So Kia, I want to say thank you for your incredible work. I've met with her a zillion times since I've been here already. Each time I learn something new, and incredibly brilliant on how you're moving things forward. So thank you for that. Sheila, I want to say something about you. At a little break, we were talking, and I thought it was very powerful that you said you were getting calls from graduates of Concord to name the school something to do with Concord because they went to school there.
Yes, yeah, that was
When you told me that, I thought that was very powerful, to kind of keep that as a history of where they went to school, which I want to credit you, say thank you. And the last thing I'd say is, I have 3 kids, they're grown now. I really believe in teaching kids how to swim early. And I live in Wilsonville, that time I actually lived closer to Marion County and no pool, or so I drove to Canby. And took my kids to swimming lessons all the time. So when I came here, I was watching the families over here, Ray, talk about, thinking back on how important it is to have kids be able to swim. And the number of moms I saw out there. I will be honest, I hate to see the director, no, what was his name that's 30-some years in?
Oh, Jason.
Jason, that runs his place?
Yes.
He's probably good at keeping the pool with lots of chlorine in that section, so I just, all those kids in there, and it was very nice to see all the kids, getting exposed to water and how valuable that is. And I'll just tell you how valuable it was for one of my daughters. We were actually down by the water once, and I turned to her and I said, "What are you doing out here without your life jacket on?" And she turned around, it was on a dock. She turned around to go get her life jacket and she slipped and fell. And this was in the Columbia. And had she not known how to, she couldn't swim against the current, but she had enough ability to kind of stay above the water so we could get to her, right? So, accidents happen. And I just can't encourage people enough that, get your kids swimming young, get them early, and it really can make a difference. And so thank you for all that you do. And if there's no other comments, we'll go ahead and conclude this North Clackamas Parks and Recreation District Board of Directors meeting. And thank you all for joining us. Have a great evening.